Sony has a dispute. So so on my phone I submitted a dispute.
Well, you always lose.
Blocking the video, not necessarily. There's an option to claim fair use. So I claimed fair use. I said it's a radio show. We were discussing
But you can only use part of it. Isn't that true?
I gotta turn that back up. Yeah, well, it was 43 seconds of it before I remembered to mute the Facebook Live audio. So I submitted a dispute and I said, hey, it's fair use. We were discussing Vietnam. The song
Vietnam
came up and I decided to play the song. So I think I'll win that, actually.
2 of my videos of Ward 13, one of them began with Bernard Herriman's music for North by Northwest, Alfred Hitchcock. So they blocked it on that. And the other one, I didn't usually ever have any trouble, using like a song or snippets, was a song by Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. So they blocked the whole video. They don't even give you a chance to like edit it out or something. But I was sick of fighting them over stuff like that.
Right.
Because then you have everybody's claiming the same song. You'd use a song from the 30s or something you figure is definitely fair use. And then you got all these different claims on it.
Right.
From the different rights organizations and different... because if somebody had covered it, their company's going to ask too, because the software at the time couldn't tell which artist is really doing the song. And it's, there's so many rights.
Mm-hmm.
There's mechanical rights. Let's not get into that.
There's human rights.
Not when you're a songwriter. Ask Prince or John Fogerty.
Yes.
Jeez, ask Paul McCartney. Think how much more rich he would have been.
Oh, if Michael Jackson didn't buy his the rights to his music.
If they hadn't botched the rights to Northern songs to ATV, Lou Grade.
Hello to Christian Cunard, who joins us in the Facebook live chat.
Nobody had any idea what that Beatles catalog was worth.
Right.
The Stones don't own their 1970 before 70 through 63 catalog. Klein wound up with that. Mick Jagger tried to warn John Lennon about Klein. Who became the agent of 3 of the Beatles after Brian Epstein died. It's just chaos, the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
But all the songwriters. Just to think that Alan Klein had Mick and Keith incorporate in the United States a songwriting outfit, which actually turned out that he owned, to save them, because, there's this famous song by the Beatles. It's not that famous. Taxman, 95% tax rate. 1 for you and 19 for me, the Taxman. So you'd look for a tax haven. So Alan Klein winds up owning everything. He bamboozled them.
Well, I have some terrible news.
What?
According to Mediaite, the DNC has bailed
Deborah Westman Schultz out?
No, on the RNC and the long-standing softball game tradition.
Oh, because after the shooting.
Says here, the Democrats who lost to the RNC in last year's annual softball game are bailing on the traditional event designed to encourage teamwork and mutual respect this year, reports the Daily Caller, which says the game was an opportunity to put aside the partisan bickering and come together in friendly competition. The decade-old tradition typically ended in staffers having a drink at a nearby bar.
Oh, this isn't the congressman one.
No.
Okay.
But we have a call, and perhaps this is your friend. Hello, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed in the afternoon. Who's this?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, this is Victoria. Hi, Matt.
Hello, Victoria. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Good. We haven't spoken in a long time. I don't think you've ever called into the radio show before. I don't think we've talked since I used to do the television program, or a program, if you prefer.
It's all Trump's fault, you know that.
Well, it is Trump's fault, but
and Melania.
But I don't blame Trump. He is look. I mean, he's a stable genius.
And your favorite president.
He is my favorite president.
He's
very exciting. Hashtag MAGA.
Yeah.
I'm excited about
well,
this.
It definitely makes me feel like I'm back in Russia, for sure. I mean,
really?
I feel home now.
Are you saying that in Russia you had to show your ID to purchase groceries?
Oh, you didn't hear his latest
no,
speech?
there soon will be no groceries to purchase in Russia.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
Who's worse in your mind, Trump or Putin?
Who's worse?
Yeah.
Well, Putin, of course, is worse. You know.
Yes.
He's shorter.
Because Trump has check and balances. They're not very. I mean, they're working pretty well, but Putin doesn't have any check and balances. Trump has quite a bit.
He can't speak English either, Putin.
Oh, it made me feel like really, really well.
Well, neither can Trump, really.
Putin's got that awesome power walk.
Oh, yeah, because he's a
I
short
have
guy.
to say about Putin, you know, at least we don't know who Putin sleeps with. About Trump, we know everyone who he sleeps with.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd rather
Melania.
not know that information.
Wow.
Do you feel any sympathy for his wife, Melania, who is she's Slovakian or
Slovenian, isn't
Not
she?
at all.
Slobovian?
Slobovian.
She's
I almost feel about her she's an enabler rather than a
she's
victim.
she's very beautiful. People have seen her here in Manchester, which is a drug-infested hellhole. So the president came to bail us out.
Yeah.
He didn't give us any. I think he.
That's why he won New Hampshire, even though he actually didn't carry New Hampshire in the
that's
general
right,
election.
yeah, because of Hillary.
But he
cheating.
did tell Putin, it was Putin, right? He was talking to, right? That's why he won, because it's a drug-infested den, and and only he can solve it.
And the way he's talking lately, he seems to be pretty high on something.
He's high on the
life.
presidency, is
Yeah.
what he's high on. Yes.
Is he your favorite president, Victoria?
No,
You have
absolutely not.
technically, don't you have two presidents? Isn't Putin president too?
I think Putin is your
two.
president, and he's president.
Oh, he's our president too, Putin. So we're all in the same boat, huh?
Wow. Yes. I well, you know what? The economy here in America is doing very well under the leadership of Vladimir Putin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Duh.
Right. So I wish Russia would do the same way. You know, Russia is like dying economically, but America is doing well. But I think we should wait about American economy. You know, like I think there's a lot of things that kind of happening since Obama administration. So I don't know how much of the Trump regulations actually affected that growth that they are
Well, Victoria,
boasting about.
you've got your tax cut. Don't you feel more
I
wealthy?
have not.
Uh-oh.
Jeez.
John C. Hopwood's getting a call. Is it
On the air.
is it Robert Mueller calling because you invited a Russian to participate in the program today?
Roger Stone.
Oh, Roger Stone.
I guess
yes.
the FBI's moving in on me.
Oh my goodness.
At least I'll
Victoria,
have a place to stay.
Victoria, have you had any interactions that Mr. Mueller should know about with anyone related to Trump or perhaps Paul Manafort?
Who makes good cappuccinos? According to
Are you
Melania.
suggesting I'm a Russian spy?
Why not?
I suggest nothing. I'm merely asking. I am a broadcast journalist, and I ask the probing questions.
Didn't we meet at the Patrice Lumumba School of, Intelligence in Moscow?
Patrice Lumumba?
Moskva.
Moskva.
Lumumba, yeah, Lumumba.
The
Lumumba.
Patrice
whatever that
Lumumba.
is.
Yeah.
La Bamba?
MGU.
You learned La Bamba together at the Gay U?
La Bamba. Oh, they love Richie Valens or Halens or whatever his name was.
Well, I think that's obvious.
Oh, yeah. Big Bopper. All 50s rock and roll was very popular at the Patrice Lumumba School.
Oh, I thought you meant in Russia.
Well, you know, we can joke about it, but Russia is very powerful. I mean, we just heard the news. You probably maybe not know about it, but there was 3 journalists who were killed recently 2 days ago in the Central African Republic.
Yeah.
And so Russia is heavily operating there, you know, military, like private military campaigns.
It's crazy. It's crazy that French, English.
So when America
Americans and
doesn't take it
Russians-
seriously, Russian meddling in the election, I mean, it's really naive, you know, because Putin is not so much interested in his economics, you know, inside games of Russia. He's really like a global player, and so I think people underestimate that, or just don't know.
Isn't he? Isn't there speculation that he may be the richest, or close to it, the richest man in the world?
He is.
Yeah.
I mean, of course.
Yeah, because we don't
There's
know.
no doubt about that.
Because we don't know. I mean, you know, how much money he may have. You know, on top of what we know that he has, how much money is hidden.
Well, think about it. This all the cash flow that comes from all sales all of all the resources, it's under his control.
Mm.
One man and his group controls all of it. So whatever they sell, oil, gas, diamonds, I don't know, you name it, metals, he controls it all. So of course he is the richest person in the world.
Well, I can understand why our president would want to be cozy with him. I'd like a BFF who was the richest man in the world.
What, WTF? Is that the Transylvania Wrestling Federation?
No, WTF is what you say after our president has a press conference with Vladimir Putin.
Melania had been, in Lois Slobovia. She was part of WTF.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh, very exciting.
Right, she admits she's very friendly when you talk to her. Schmooze.
Melania is?
Melania.
Melania? Well, we should ask Victoria what the correct pronunciation of that is.
She's Russian, and Melania is Slobovian.
Oh, but how do you say it in Russian?
Is
I
that
thought you guys said it was melanoma before.
Oh,
Wow.
that was
That's
on the
what-
TV show.
That's what John C. Hopwood says. But
No, John Hopwood.
Oh, John Hopwood.
This
But
is
on,
John C. Hopwood.
but on this program, we operate well within the bounds of good taste
Good
and
taste.
decorum.
Yes.
Yes.
She's not. Well, she called in. I was here with you. She called in.
I
she
didn't
goes,
realize
Melania.
the standard went up.
What?
Yes. Well,
I didn't realize that the standard of communication went up.
I can understand why you didn't realize that because
No
it is shocking to think of us raising our standards. It is very strange.
No more hijinks.
Right.
We're not allowed hijinks.
It's a hijinks-free zone. I haven't seen hijinks here in minutes.
No, yeah.
It's been very, very serious.
Ever since the anti-circumcision protesters came in on Monday and sacked the joint.
Yes. Do they do circumcision in Russia?
Well, considering that Russia has 40% of Muslim population, yes, they do.
Really?
40%? I didn't know that. Wow.
Is that fake news?
Could be. I mean,
He's a Russian agent, from
I don't-
the Patrice Lumumba school.
I mean because
He's
if,
bamboozling
because if that's true, I don't know why our president would be so cozy with Russia. We know how he feels about certain
Well,
certain
they've
groups.
been watching him. Supposedly, first time he came to Russia was in the 80s, 88
Oh,
or
really?
something like that.
Mm.
Yes, with his wife Ivana. So I mean,
Ooh,
so
check.
he's been watched by KGB since that first time.
Ah.
So think about it. Even if he would just visited 3 times, every visit would be closely monitored and watched. That's how it happened.
And recorded.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
By the way, in the Facebook live chat, hello to John Midas Manning. Of course, you can hear
Oh, Midas.
you can hear DJ Midas his program Late Night Delight Saturday and Sunday nights beginning at 12 midnight here on WMNH 95.3 FM. And hello to Matt DaCosta who joins us in the Facebook live chat as well.
Hey, Victoria, all hijinks aside, since they're officially banned here.
Yes.
And what is the situation? I remember when you were with the Baltic states, because you are from Kaliningrad, the Oblast, which is, between what? Lithuania and Poland?
Yes.
And you told us when you were on that show, when you were still on the show, that before the election, or sometime like in October, Putin had massed troops in the Baltic states and said he was going to put his tanks right through Vilnius, Lithuania, into Kaliningrad. But the press says nothing about that because what a week, unless it's, you're a U.S. citizen too and have been here for a long time. So what's the situation there? And is there
Well, I think
still
they all
tension?
got friendly for the World Cup, but in general, I think it's more problem for Lithuania and Poland rather than United States. It's not going to affect the United States in any way unless they attack Poland or Lithuania,
Right,
and then
right.
it's NATO,
NATO.
and then
Then we're
the
at
United
war.
States might have to act, but
Yeah.
they won't.
Now,
Yeah, I would hope not. By the way, Baltic Avenue, one of my favorite properties in Monopoly.
yeah, because you're a cheapskate. I'll take Broadway.
Yeah, I am. I'm a skinflint. Yeah.
And now about Ukraine, one of my friends worked that I knew at the Defense Language Institute in Monterey. We were roommates. He after everything was over, he was one of the good ones in speaking Russian, and he was in Moscow for a long time. But then because of the anti-American sentiment, he went to Kiev. But then he had to leave there. But he was on my show. I don't know if he was on your show too. And he was talking about the big differences between Western Ukraine and Eastern Ukraine, with Eastern Ukraine being very pro Russia. And of course, everybody's talking about Ukraine. Paul Manafort was a lobbyist,
Yes.
not only for Trump, but back in 2008, he was working with Ukraine, which is probably a different government. I don't even remember when McCain was running for president. So, but what's the situation with Ukraine and the Crimea and Crimea and all that? Is that an issue that Russians?
Unfortunately, Ukraine is kind of on their own because, I mean, they're a young country, young democracy. The mentality is very similar to Russia.
Yeah.
And, they can't get it together. Really.
Dreadfully
the corruption
poor.
is just it's just unbelievable. And I think Ukrainian people are less because they were kind of like on the border with Western Europe, so I would say they have a less slave mentality.
Yeah.
And once in a while they rebel.
Part of it was
And
Western Ukraine was part of Poland and other countries, and the hero in Western Ukraine was some people, Russians would call a terrorist who assassinated the Polish ambassador back in the 30s. But there's all talk about, when you actually look at the situation in Ukraine, it's much more complex than anybody's going to portray in the United States.
Well, don't worry. I'm sure Trump understands it.
But,
you're right.
But who does Russia control Ukraine? Does Putin now control Ukraine?
Russia controls Ukraine fully. Right now they're going to have elections in Ukraine,
Yeah.
and Russia is investing money there, and so the next government most likely going to be pro-Russian.
Right.
Because Europe is not interested, the United States is not participating, so Russia just flooding with Russian money
Right.
for candidates that they want to be elected. So
You once told me, I think, talking about our own election, that Putin couldn't get. Putin tried to influence the elections in Montenegro, which failed. This tiny country. Yet, what's your opinion about what happened in the 2016 election, Vika, to somebody that you know both cultures very well, and of course you're current with Russia? You can give us
in the United
perspective.
States,
Yeah, well, your perspective. You've been here for a long time, 15 years. You know what's going on in Russia. What happened? What is your opinion? What happened with the Russian election? What happened, Putin? What do you think happened?
Or you mean the American election?
Yeah, the United States
Yeah.
election.
well, I don't think it's a mystery. I mean, Hillary was something a very undesirable
Yeah.
president for Putin. So I think his objective was, I think it's some kind of personal vendetta and just a personal dislike, because she did point out at Russian corruption and human rights violations and all that stuff, and she was pretty tough. And I think that was his game, because if you notice, he's been in power almost 20 years. At the same time, Europe and America, they change their leaders all the time, and he's not changing, so he feels really superior. So he doesn't want to talk to them as equal, and he gets offended when they don't talk to him as equal, because he's going to outlive all of them.
He's a czar.
And I think it was just his personal game not to let Hillary win. He didn't care who is going to win, but it just couldn't be Hillary.
Doesn't
in
it go?
his opinion.
Does,
And
I'm sorry, Victoria. I just want to ask. Doesn't it go back to a specific comment that she made, criticizing Putin specifically on human rights or something like that? Wasn't it a particular speech that she gave that everyone says allegedly is what set him off?
I think it was a number of things. Yeah, there was a speech where she called him either murderer or thief
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, besides that, I mean, there is also hypocrisy. You know, how Hillary, for instance, supported Saudi Arabia. Well, if she's a feminist and she's protecting women's rights, how she can ever be supportive of Saudi Arabia?
Right.
So I think from Russian perspective, they look at all this and they say, what's going on? Why America can't do those kind of things? Play in the world arena, create,
Hypocrisy.
Yeah.
chaos and start wars. Why can't Russia do that? The only problem with Russia, our economy is less than the economy of California.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What did?
And so that's how they perceive it. That if
Right.
America can put their nose in every business in the world, why can't we?
Well,
And
that-
so
well,
we're going to outplay them.
Well, that's even how Trump perceives it, right? Because who was it who interviewed him? Who was talking about Putin's a murderer, this and that, and Trump Trump says, "Well, you think we're so innocent?"
Which is true because once
Right.
again he's of the 70s when they realized
Well, it's not true.
we had
because,
assassinated
it's
people.
not true because Hillary's alive. Okay, I mean,
Right.
Panetta is alive. I don't know who else.
No, we're
whoever
talking
you name,
about-
they're all alive. In Russia, they're dead. That's the difference.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
The opponents of Putin are dead.
Right. It is a. It's
including there have been journalists that have been assassinated in Russia.
Oh yeah.
Well, just now, I mean, in Russia and in Africa. But that's a big difference, and I think that's a manipulation. Say, well, what America doesn't do it? No, America doesn't do it. You can kill president here. You can't kill Putin in Russia. It's impossible. Like when Putin, that's his argument. Like, look, guys, you kill your own president there. Yeah, but that's manipulation again.
Right.
Well, Putin thought that hit on the hypocrisy of the United States too. What he considered the hypocrisy that they're talking about him subverting elections, and he has a very cynical idea of what the United States is, like many Europeans do, who of course don't buy into all this civics course from the 4th grade on, and when you think about it, listening to you two, once again, we've been talking about Trump came up, 1946 he was born, just like Bill Clinton. They both went through the era in the early 70s with Nixon, who was corrupt and removed. But then the revelations of the Church Committee that what LBJ was saying after he became president, we were running a goddamn murder incorporated in the Caribbean. We had assassinated leaders, including Diem, the president of South Vietnam.
By the way,
so he thinks Trump is very cynical and Putin's very cynical. They're realists.
By the way, we've been joined in the studio by a couple of gentlemen. So the Honorable Gary S. Hopper is here. How are you, sir?
I am not dead.
Excellent. Well, that's a good
Is
start.
that positive or negative?
Depends on who you ask, really.
And
Sometimes I wonder.
go ahead and pull that mic up. Is that? I think we've met before.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who you are.
JP Marzullo.
JP Marzullo is
How
here
are
as
you?
well.
How are you?
And so you guys, I mean, if you want to get into the conversation, feel free.
We're talking about Putin.
We've got Victoria on the line with us, who used to live in Russia until you've been here 15 years, you said?
16 years, yeah.
Yeah. Tom
Tom
Massengale in the Facebook live chat says, I think Putin was a little jealous when he saw the viral photo on Hill smooching young John Hopwood. Oh, yes, the picture of you and Hillary Clinton together.
Is that why Roger Stone subverted my aspirations
I think so.
of great power?
You keep mentioning Roger Stone. I'm telling you, Robert Mueller is going to come knocking on your door.
I can only hope so then I can get a book deal.
Yes. Well, that would be wonderful. The publicity, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
can arrange to have you booked.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not going to go to where. What are you in cahoots with a certain ex-mayor?
So,
Oh, my. Oh, my goodness.
whoa, yeah, maybe.
You're all in cahoots. You're all again me.
Yes.
Yeah,
You ain't
well,
for me or again me.
yeah, that's me. I'm again you.
Do you gentlemen have any questions for Victoria? I mean, I don't know how often you get to talk. Well, I mean, you are in the party of Trump. Maybe you talk to Russians on a regular basis. I don't know.
We do.
I would not be surprised if Victoria and I have already colluded.
Oh, my.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jeez. Well,
I've tried to collude with her, but she laughed at me.
Victoria.
Yeah. Well,
Victoria.
you're not a Republican, so.
Right.
You, how can you tell?
Victoria, have you colluded with the Honorable Gary S. Hopper?
Or would you like to?
Would I like to?
He's
Send me
a
the picture. I'll think about it.
Oh,
Send a picture.
it's not a crime.
Wait.
after all.
I don't know what kind of collusion you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I was
well,
talking political
there
collusion.
are different kinds of
There are,
collusion.
there
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want any tapes surfacing of me paying off bribes 10 years from now. and,
Right.
because I only got $20, so
Or
what kind of lawyer could I afford to have him arrange for the bribes?
That's
I can think of one.
A
Yeah.
cricket one, right? Exactly.
yeah. They're around.
An unsuccessful one.
Hey, so Victoria. So I know this is kind of probably too rudimentary, but what is the for a private citizen? What is the difference as far as how much freedom you do feel or don't feel Russia compared to the United States, and why?
You're breaking up. Could you repeat your question, please?
Oh, say that again, Gary.
What do you think is, because you have I don't think that microphone. Can you hear me, Victoria?
I can hear you very well.
What's the difference in America in the sense of freedom? As a Russian, which you are, and I think you recently visited Russia where your family is, what's the feeling of being free in Russia compared to being free in the United States? And I'll just add, when Yevtushenko, the great poet, was coming to America, he says, "Oh, I feel as free as anybody." And, after everything collapsed, people had a go at him. But the sense of freedom, Russia versus the United States.
The sense of freedom in Russia we have that you can bribe your way through.
Colleges?
That's less restriction right there.
Yeah.
Where here you have to maybe write somewhere or appeal or do that. So in Russia you just pay money. That's kind of freedom. You don't have to go through,
all the red tape,
procedures and stuff.
Just
And
pay
then
'em off.
also,
That includes
we say
universities.
that we have a very, very tough laws. Our laws are very tough,
And
but
arbitrary.
it's not necessarily to follow them, and that's where our freedom lies.
But you once told
So
me
breaking the law and kind of living with that.
You once told me I was complaining about the legal system over something, and you told me this was several years ago. You kind of laughed at me and said the difference
She's
between
not the first,
yes, and she's laughed at me in ways you can't imagine. But when I was trying to get her to collude. But you told me the difference between the United States and Russia is, and we've known cases where, I know, they just picked up by somebody like a former KGB agent was now a cop or something. They throw you in jail and try to sweat money out of you. That happened to somebody that I knew and I'd met in Monterey years before I'd met you. But the difference between the laws in the United States, even if you're arrested, you do have a right to an attorney. You do have a right to process. You do have a chance.
Yeah, but what? No, I think you got to start thinking.
That's what she was
John,
telling me.
John,
the
I know,
difference.
but what I think JP's running for state rep, so hopefully he's up there with me in a few months and before you know it, and so we got to think outside the box. She just said what I heard was the system in Russia was superior because when there was difficulty, all you had to do was bribe people. You're done with it. You get out of it,
An average
and you move
person.
on. The average person moves on with their life. I think we just have to have more bribery.
Yeah,
Get
probably.
rid of a lot of the court systems and all that cumbersome stuff.
It does sound more efficient.
Yeah, and of course, all the money we get paid, we should have an easy go of it. To
We
just
should.
bribe people.
Exactly. Because, look at it this way. If you got rid of the court system, which is kind of, passe, really, think how much more tax money people would have. They'd be able to afford a few bribes.
Right.
Then you don't need to pay the cops as much, right?
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, you
but we
wouldn't.
don't want to go down that path.
You wouldn't, because you would assume their salary is, say, $50,000 a year plus, and the plus would be how much they could extort out of.
Could be like New Orleans. They don't even give them much money. It's just what they can take.
Right.
Exactly.
Really? It's like in New York City where the guys are. My father, I remember, he's telling me about the people in Boston. Patrolmen. He knew that. They moonlighted. It's like second story, man, and stuff like that.
It's good tax-free income.
Yeah.
Who's better than that? You know the ins and outs, and have a cop as one of your lookouts. Hey.
What do you think, Victoria? Should we adopt a more Russian system here?
I think you already kind of
Go with our Sharia law.
adapting it with your current president. Like,
Oh, that's hurtful.
Burn.
Sick burn.
Well, like, did you hear that there's some journalists are not reporters not allowed in the White House anymore? That worries me the most. Like there's less amount of transparency happening now, and so that's how it started in Russia. It starts shutting down little by little. Things that used to be public, And so now it came down to Constitution is completely ignored, no due process.
And then they get
And,
shot.
And if you don't have a famous name, if you got in jail, there's no rights really. You're gonna get tortured.
That's why it's really best, Victoria, while you're here, is to get as famous, like get like me, basically.
Or Trump.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You used to like Trump when he was Celebrity Apprentice about 400 years ago, because that show lasted forever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then you get bored.
It did, yeah.
No, I actually, as much as this might upset my accomplice from Russia, I really think Trump's great. I love what he's doing. I am absolutely tickled pink at the fact
Pink!
that tickled
He's
pink.
a red.
I know.
It's
Red
interesting you would
Pleiadian.
say pink, the
Yes.
color of communism.
No,
Yeah,
that's
oh,
red.
yeah.
That's red.
Oh.
You're a pinko. Don't you remember?
Pinko,
all the
yeah.
I'm
family?
thinking pinko commie. Yeah.
Right.
that's
Pinko
where-
commie. And then he had the bad word after that.
Because
Right.
remember Archie
Because
Bunker?
commie wasn't bad enough.
Archie
Right.
Bunker.
Why do they triple up on it? Why do they have to go pinko commie?
Always three.
But actually, fag isn't bad because actually it means a clump of sticks.
Only in England.
Right.
Only
A
in
bundle of
England.
sticks,
And a
yes.
It's on
cigarette butt.
your dollar bill.
Or a cigarette.
Oh, now that's the facies.
It's not the same thing.
Feces or the facies?
Not feces.
facies.
The fag, the clump of sticks bound together.
Now, do you remember the Archie Bunker? He was saying something nice about
And that's actually what they called cigarettes back in the day too.
Right.
only in England. Walter Cronkite, and she said, "But you." Edith looks at him and says, "But Archie, you always said that Walter Cronkite was a communist." And then he says, "Just pink, Edith, just pink."
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So now we've outed a pinko.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm
Cigarette smoking.
no, I don't smoke
faces,
cigarettes. Hey, no, I don't smoke no.
Hosting.
At one time you did.
At one time, a
Yes.
long time ago.
Yes.
What's the cost of cigarettes in Russia, Vika?
Say it again.
What's the cost of a pack of fags in Russia? Pack of cigarettes.
I'd say now probably $1.50.
Oh, jeez.
Wow, yeah.
Buck and a
Can we
half.
import them here?
Wow. Geez, I might take up smoking for that price.
They're huge. They roll
If I
them in
were Russian.
newspapers.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Oh
Well,
my.
that's only good. There's only
Because
good
I
for
saw
that.
some kids rolling their own stuff outside just a few minutes ago. It's
Hey.
still popular here.
Is pot legal in California now, Vika?
It is, isn't it?
Back in California now.
Marijuana. We call it cannabis. on this show.
Cannabis, yes.
Hey,
Oh,
we're gonna head upstairs.
1/8 in the shop. In the
Oh.
dispensary,
Oh.
1/8 is about
Okay.
from $35 to $65.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Gary,
Hey,
yeah.
stick with us, Victoria. We're going to say goodbye to the Honorable Gary S. Hopper. And JP, are you currently...
No, I'm not in this.
He's
thing.
running against
you're
me.
running-
where are
I'm
you?
running against
So,
Gary.
so,
Oh,
so
how
the
many seats?
potentially soon to be Honorable JP Marzullo.
Yeah, one of
Hopefully.
us might not be left standing, but one
Right.
of us will
Are
be
you all
standing.
Republicans
Yes.
running?
Yeah,
Four?
yeah.
It's a primary 6 Republicans for 3 seats,
Okay.
just to make it
That's-
fun.
And,
It's
and
democracy.
Well,
Gentlemen,
yes,
it was a pleasure
but-
talking to you. I have to go.
oh, Victoria's got to go
Oh,
too.
God.
Okay, we're losing
We've
everybody.
driven
I look
her out.
forward to
We've driven
colluding
her
with
out.
you.
All right, Victoria, thank you so much for the call.
And
Thank you for
all right.
having
think
me.
about
Bye-bye.
colluding in the future.
You guys are welcome to stick around. I don't know if you were just going to get going because you were uncomfortable talking to a Russian and you didn't
you
want to get swept up in the
communists.
Mueller probe. But
Right,
So
yeah.
you are. So if that's the reason, I mean, you are welcome to stay.
I'm actually, Gary, I'm actually in a Roger Stone book. I used to talk to him.
yeah,
But then
he
everything
is, yeah.
happened. And
Yeah.
yeah. Roger Stone and I used to talk.
Yeah, I was in a Twilight Zone episode. Oh, I lived it. I mean,
Oh, right.
Whenever you come to Manchester.
All right.
Watch
so,
out, there are entities up on the 4th floor.
Oh,
Rome.
Gary, you didn't plug your show. You got to at least do that
Yeah.
before you go. Yeah, plug
Oh yeah,
away.
you get. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me, Matt. Yeah,
Yes.
you got to watch Rock Paper Hand Grenade 6 o'clock, channel 23 on the net, and JP is our awesome guest. He's gonna try to tell the voters of why he's much better than me.
All right. Very
Well,
good.
that's
Which
just
shouldn't
prima
take that-
facie evidence, right?
Yeah, I
He's
know.
bald.
That should only take like
Bald.
5 minutes.
Wow. All right.
5.
All right.
Minute
Thanks,
now.
guys.
You got 90 seconds.
All right. So the Honorable Gary S. Hopper leaves us along with his guest
The
tonight on his
pink.
on his
Gary
show.
S.
Yes,
Hopper.
I know, right?
Pink right down to his underwear.
And you can watch that tonight on Channel 23 you can watch Rock Paper Hand Grenades tonight on Channel 23, and then of course we'll have it up tomorrow on the YouTube, on the IPM Nation YouTube channel. By the way,
like yodeling.
oh well, you can yodel. By the way, or if you can yodel. By the way, to another programming note, tomorrow on the show, I will share with you all my interview that I'm going to be recording later this evening with the Australian rapper Muggsy. We're actually recording
Is he the one who slept with Asia Argento?
I don't know. I'll ask him about that. But he's an up-and-coming hip-hop artist in Australia, down under, and he's making inroads here in the U.S., and I'm going to get to talk to him, but we're recording that later tonight because he can't really join us live because it's like 5 a.m. where he is. And, musicians typically are not early risers. So we're going to record that this evening.
Hey, can
and then I'll play that for you tomorrow.
Can you record me a cover of YMCA?
I'll certainly run it by him. Or I'm sure he'll give it all the consideration it deserves. Hello to
up yours, buddy.
hello to Rob Azevedo, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Of course, you can hear Rob's show, Granite State of Mind, Fridays at 6 p.m. Right here on WMNH 95.3, immediately following this program. So please check it out. It's a great show and very important to support the local music scene. And, of course, you can always get the archive of it if you can't hear it live at WMNHradio.org, where we do archive all the shows here. Let's see. John left the room because he's making coffee. Tom Massengale in the Facebook live chat says, is Vika a red sparrow? Oh, I don't quite get the reference, but it sounds like, I don't know. So speaking of, by the way, the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, there was an article that I saw on his Facebook page earlier. Oh, hello to Kevin Buckley in the Facebook live chat who says, hi, Matt. And if I've got the right Kevin Buckley, this may or may not make sense. And this will be, to most of you, well, to all of you listening except Kevin, this definitely won't make sense. This is an inside joke. But Kevin, I'm glad you're okay after that car accident that you were in. And I don't even know for a fact if this is the same Kevin Buckley. So, Kevin, if it is you, if I have the right Kevin, please blink twice or something, or just confirm that in the Facebook live chat. And if it's not you and you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, that's okay too. But there's this article here from, it's called, actually this is from CNN. This is written by Julian Zelter, CNN political analyst. The title of the article is, Trump sounds normal in private, it's all an act. Very interesting theory. Now, we know what John thinks that... hello to Stephen Gott, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hi, Steve. Anyway, well, let's go into... Because this is a theory that some people have. I don't know if it makes me feel better about anything, but according to this, it says, reading anything into a short, grainy tape recording is difficult. But from the moment that CNN's Chris Cuomo shared one of the Michael Cohen tapes, experts have sliced and diced the audio to figure out exactly what then candidate Donald Trump knew about a payment to keep his alleged affair with former Playboy playmate Karen McDougal off the front pages. One of the most remarkable aspects of the tape is just how normal Trump sounds when the cameras are not on. He carries on his conversation with one unnamed person, as well as with his lawyer, Michael Cohen, in a relatively controlled and deliberative voice. This is not the same Trump who we heard and still hear speaking in half sentences, nor is it the Trump who continually tosses out statements made on Fox News to his audiences simply to stir up the base.
Yeah, JKL told me that he's different,
Yeah, I've heard that from a number of people.
Because you remember he had one of the events, Theo's.
Yeah.
And, and he says it's different.
Yeah. It says here, no, on this tape, we hear a little bit of a methodical and controlled candidate who's trying to figure out how to handle a potential problem in his campaign, how to kill an embarrassing story. He listens, absorbs, and responds. He knows what is going on, and he wants a workable plan. Now, before I go any further with this, and I didn't pre-read this, but I have a big problem with this whole theory. And my problem with it is this.
Yes.
If you listen to the tape, you don't hear a whole lot of Trump. It's mostly Michael Cohen talking. Trump only speaks a little bit.
right because he's paying for his advice.
Yeah, so I don't think that the author of this article, who's going by the tape, I don't think the tape really tells us, offers us much evidence
The
in terms of
tail of the tape.
in terms of the theory that is being posited here. Kevin Buckley in the Facebook live chat says Matt looks like a young Ron Jeremy.
Jesus,
That is
I
not.
wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Well, let me say this.
Hedgehog. He's not a hedgehog. He's a yeti.
You may think that. However, I can assure you, I do not look like Ron Jeremy of any age all over, because I am in fact Irish.
Well, we can get Maggie from the West Side over. She had starred in adult films with Ron Jeremy.
Oh, very nice.
And we'd have to do that on Matt Connington Uncut. Whatever.
That's for a different show.
Ooh,
Yes.
yeah.
Steve Gott says, "What's up, sucka? LOL."
Which was directed by Sergio Leone, 1972. Rod Steiger.
Who you calling a sucka? Sucka?
Oh no, that was Duck. You sucker.
See what I did there? I kind of turned it around on him there. Pretty good, huh? Did you like that?
I know. Yeah.
So I don't think this tape proves anything about Trump. I mean, Trump barely talks in that tape. I don't know why I said talks with a high voice.
Talks.
Sometimes I do that. Certain words, I just go, I.
Well, when you get mad at your fur, it tugs at your
I think what it is, I think I'm going through puberty. Like Peter Brady in that Brady Bunch song.